Hi, I'm Aria, 28 years old, and today, I finally stopped being invisible. Another birthday. Another post-it note. Aria, handle the Harlow account today. Also, pick up Dad's dry cleaning. No, happy birthday. No acknowledgement. Just another day of being the family's invisible daughter. But this year, everything changes. If you've ever been overlooked, dismissed, or treated like your worth doesn't matter, stick around. This story isn't just revenge, it's liberation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell because you'll want to see how this unfolds. Another birthday spent staring at that cruel little post-it stuck to my laptop. Aria, need you to handle the Harlow account today. Also, pick up Dad's dry cleaning. I stared at it for a long moment, letting the inked instructions soak into my brain, each word a reminder that my family saw me as nothing more than an extension of their business. 28 today. Not a single happy birthday in sight. Not a card, not a text, not even a casual glance. Just chores. Just tasks. Just me, invisible. I'm Aria, and for the past 6 years, I've dedicated myself to the Harlow Bennett investment firm. My surname opens doors. It commands respect. It guarantees privilege. But in the quiet moments, behind the sleek glass walls of our corporate empire, I've learned a bitter truth. Being family means nothing when your existence doesn't serve their image, their convenience, their ego. Girl, tell me you're not working on your birthday again. Talia's voice shattered the silence, almost like a lifeline. She appeared at my office door, cupcake in hand, candle flickering. Her wide, knowing eyes met mine. You deserve better than this. I forced a weak smile. Thanks, Talia. At least someone remembered. She squinted at the post-it. Did they seriously? Her disbelief was mirrored in the slight shake of her head. Even after last year. Oh, last year. I remembered vividly. My mother, Vivian, had thrown a grand, glittering gala for the company's top client, a spectacle of fine champagne, designer dresses, and performative smiles. My birthday had been swallowed whole by chandeliers and canapes. When I had dared mention it, she had said, "Oh, honey, you're too old for birthday parties anyway." I forced myself to breathe through the familiar tightness in my chest. Speaking of disasters. I glanced toward my office door, and Sienna, my sister, sashayed past in her impossibly high heels. Here comes Hurricane self-absorbed, I muttered under my breath. She poked her head in, perfectly coiffed, perfectly poised. Aria, Daddy needs those Harlow files by noon. Her gaze lingered on the cupcake. Oh, is it someone's birthday? Talia nearly choked on her coffee. Are you serious? What? Sienna's perfectly plucked brows creased in confusion. It's your sister's birthday, Talia said flatly. Oh. Fake concern washed over Sienna's face. Right. Happy, birthday, Aria. We should totally do dinner sometime this week. I muttered a quiet, resigned, sure, knowing well that, sometime this week, meant never. Once she left, I turned back to my laptop. 6 years. 6 birthdays forgotten. 6 Christmases of recycled gifts. 6 years of borrowed clothes, accessories, and jewelry that were never returned. Each discarded, regifted, or ignored item had become a small secret savings account in my hands. I had been quietly selling them, one piece at a time, on online marketplaces. The total? Enough for something I'd never allowed myself before. Talia, I said, rotating the laptop to show her the luxury resort options I had found. What do you think about the molds? Her eyes widened. Girl, that's like, stupid expensive. Exactly. My fingers clicked book now on the overwater villa, first-class flight, and private butler package. Your family's going to flip when they find out. That's the best part, I grinned. They won't know until I'm already there. The adrenaline surged, a thrilling pulse through my veins. No more waiting for them to remember I existed. No more hoping. No more being the invisible daughter. My phone buzzed. Dominic. My father. Aria, where are those Harlow files? Still working on them, Dad. By the way, do you know what day it is? Tuesday. Just get the files done. Your mother's planning a charity gala, and we need to free up some capital. Of course. Another gala. Another day I'm a number, a placeholder, a shadow in the background while Vivian shone in her designer dresses. I hung up and took a deep, steadying breath. 2 weeks. 2 weeks in paradise. No family drama. No last-minute errands. No being the forgotten daughter. For the first time in years, I felt a small flicker of hope. You're really doing this? Talia asked, wide-eyed, her voice tinged with awe. Watch me. I pulled up Instagram and began following luxury travel accounts. For once, I would be the one they envied. What about the office? I laughed softly. They want the Harlow files? They can do them themselves. I have 6 years of unused vacation days. Just then, Vivian swept into my office without knocking. The air shifted. Her presence always carried a weight, a suffocating gravity. Aria, darling, I need you to coordinate with the caterers for next week's gala. I looked up, feeling something awaken inside me. No. Excuse me. I said no. I'm taking a vacation starting tomorrow. But the gala, she began. Isn't my problem, I interrupted, gathering my things. I'm sure Sienna can handle it. She's so good at everything, right? Vivian's face turned a shade of red I hadn't seen before. We'll discuss this at home. Actually, we won't, I said firmly, grabbing my bag and the cupcake Talia had brought. Because I won't be there. Walking out, Talia followed, grinning. You know they're going to lose their minds when they see your vacation photos, right? That's exactly what I'm counting on, I replied. And with that, I stepped into my freedom. The cab ride to the airport felt surreal, each passing mile a countdown to freedom. My suitcase sat beside me, impeccably packed with enough outfits to rival a magazine editorial, swimsuits carefully folded, designer sunglasses nestled into soft cases. I stared out the window at the city I'd lived in all my life, the skyline twinkling in the late afternoon sun, and felt a strange combination of guilt and exhilaration. Guilt for leaving my family scrambling. Exhilaration for finally prioritizing myself. For decades, my life had been dictated by Vivian's whims, by Dominic's expectations, by Sienna's effortless perfection. Every favor I'd done, every late night at the office, every smile I'd forced had been repaid with indifference. No recognition, no gratitude. Just more work. More neglect. More erasure. Talia, sitting across from me, noticed my tight jaw. You okay? She asked gently. I forced a smile. Yeah. Just nervous. You've earned this, she said, eyes steady. You're finally putting yourself first. And trust me, they won't know what hit them. Her words should have comforted me, but doubt crept in. What if I overreacted? What if I was being childish? What if? I shook my head, forcing the intrusive thoughts away. No. No more what ifs. 6 years of being overlooked, of being invisible, was enough. This is my life. My choice. At the airport, the TSA line was slow, unbearably so. I clutched my passport and boarding pass like a lifeline, heart hammering in my chest with a cocktail of anticipation and anxiety. The reality of what I was doing, leaving without explanation, leaving the office files untouched, hit me in waves. But as soon as I boarded the plane, all doubt evaporated. The first-class cabin smelled faintly of leather and citrus, a stark contrast to the recycled corporate air I'd breathed for years. Settling into my plush seat, I leaned back, letting the hum of the engines lull my racing thoughts. For the first time in years, I felt like me. Even as I sipped champagne at 30,000 feet, my phone buzzed relentlessly. Messages, calls, notifications, Sienna panicking, Vivian demanding updates, Dominic. I ignored them all. Each ring was a reminder that they were losing control while I regained it. I arrived at the resort just as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in molten shades of orange and pink. My overwater villa shimmered against the horizon, suspended like a jewel above the endless turquoise. Marcus, my personal butler, greeted me with impeccable manners and a slight bow. "Welcome, Miss Aria. Your villa is ready." Stepping inside felt like walking into a dream. Floor-to-ceiling windows made the ocean part of the living space. Soft ambient lighting accentuated the rich textures of the furnishings. And then, the infinity pool. A private stretch of water merging seamlessly with the sea. I sank into the first chaise lounge, closing my eyes, letting the salt-tinged breeze wash over me. For months, years, I'd been living for everyone else. For my family. For the firm. For appearances. And now? Now, I existed solely for myself. Talia texted, practically vibrating with excitement, "Girl, your Instagram story is breaking the internet. Your sister is having a meltdown in the office." I laughed softly, a sound I hadn't realized I'd missed. Pulling out my phone, I posted a photo of my toes dangling above the water, the caption reading, "Sometimes you have to choose yourself first." Within minutes, notifications exploded. Sienna, frantic, "Why didn't you tell us about this trip?" Vivian, rigid and furious, "Call home immediately, young lady." Clara, sweetly smug, "Living your best life." I ignored them all and ordered a piña colada. When it arrived, I photographed it, making sure my designer sunglasses, purchased from the proceeds of selling a regifted scarf, caught the sunlight perfectly. Then Evan, my brother, the only one who sometimes saw me, called. "Hey, stranger. Quite a show you're putting on. Enjoying the drama?" Sienna called me in tears, he added. "Mom's threatening to fly out there." "They don't even know which resort I'm at," I replied, sipping the cocktail. "For what it's worth," he said, "I'm sorry I forgot your birthday too." "You're the only one who's actually apologized," I said, a small warmth spreading through my chest. As night fell, I floated in the infinity pool, arms spread wide, eyes closed. Each wave lapping against my skin was a reminder of freedom. The glow of the resort lights shimmered on the water's surface, reflecting a life I had been too afraid to claim. But the rebellion wasn't over. My revenge wouldn't be complete with mere absence. No, I needed precision. I needed impact. I began making a list, careful, calculated, of every slight, every forgotten gift, every ignored effort. My fingers hovered over my phone, drafting posts, scheduling updates, and creating a meticulously curated Instagram feed that would send my family into chaos while I lounged in paradise. Day 2 arrived, and I woke to the sound of waves lapping against the stilts of the villa. Sunlight poured through the glass, warming my skin. I had planned a morning yoga session, followed by breakfast on the private deck. Every detail of this escape was designed to maximize serenity, and, secretly, impact. Talia called via FaceTime, practically bouncing. "Girl, you will not believe what's happening. Your mother, complete meltdown. The conference room. Papers flying. Screaming." I adjusted my sunglasses, smirking. Another gift, another converted possession fueling my escape. A reminder, I wasn't just gone. I was untouchable. Violet, Clara, in reality, my trusted ally, had been quietly gathering evidence of workplace discrimination, tracking my mother's underhanded ways, making the dominoes fall on their own. By noon, my curated Instagram stories were in full swing, snorkeling with sea turtles, piña coladas in hand, yoga at sunrise, breakfast with the infinite horizon. The comments section of my posts was now a battlefield, Sienna's panic, Vivian's fury, Clara's satisfaction. I couldn't stop smiling. Evenings were the sweetest. Sunset photos, champagne in hand, designer earrings glinting. Each post a calculated dagger. Each notification a small, sweet victory. I realized, fully, that this was only the beginning. They thought my absence was rebellion. But my revenge would be more than that. It would be an art form. And I, for the first time, was the artist. Morning light filtered through the villa's glass walls, illuminating every polished surface, every carefully placed luxury. I stretched on the plush rug, savoring the silence, savoring the freedom. No emails, no calls, no last-minute emergencies. Just the gentle rhythm of waves against stilts, the occasional cry of a seabird, and the warm breeze brushing my skin. But I knew the quiet was temporary. The storm I'd started at home was brewing, unseen, chaotic, unstoppable. I poured myself a cup of coffee and settled by the floor-to-ceiling window, laptop open, phone ready. It was time to plan, not just a getaway, but a carefully orchestrated symphony of chaos that would finally make my absence felt. First step, the accounts. I pulled up the Harlow files I had forgotten to complete. They were encrypted, of course, with a password only I would know. Not only would Sienna have to scramble to finish them, but my father would finally realize how indispensable I had been. Next, the social media campaign. Every post, every story, every carefully curated image was going to hit at the perfect time. Breakfast on the deck, yoga at sunrise, snorkeling with sea turtles, private dinners, sunset champagne toasts. Each post a reminder, I was thriving, unbothered, untouchable. But the planning wasn't just digital. I reviewed the list of every slight, every forgotten gift, every insult disguised as concern. The Hermes bracelet regifted, the designer shoes 2 sizes too small, the Christmas dress that barely fit, I had them all documented. Each item sold, each dollar reinvested into my ultimate escape. Talia FaceTimed me, barely able to contain herself. "Girl, you're really doing this. Your mother is losing it. She's stormed into the office 3 times already." I smiled, feeling the rush of vindication. Good. Let her panic. Let them feel what I've felt all these years. Invisible, disregarded, unimportant. Now, it's my turn. Even Evan was swept into the chaos. He called, half laughing, half exasperated. "You've officially broken the Bennett household. Sienna's crying. Mom's yelling. Dad is. I don't even know." "Exactly," I said, leaning back in my chaise lounge. "Exactly the point." By mid-afternoon, I was fully immersed in plotting the perfect storm. My emails were scheduled, my Instagram posts queued, and even my calls were pre-written for the perfect timing. Marcus, my ever-attentive butler, brought fresh towels and snacks, silently observing as I orchestrated my plan with precision. "Miss Aria," he said, "your family has been trying to reach the resort. Multiple times." I shook my head, smiling at my reflection in the glass. "Hotel policy is clear. No contact unless I authorize it. And I won't." Even the smallest thrill of control made my heart race. For so long, I had been powerless, dictated by Vivian's capricious moods, Dominic's high expectations, Sienna's effortless dominance. Now, every notification I ignored, every post I scheduled, was a declaration. I was no longer theirs to manipulate. By evening, I had created the masterstroke. A series of posts that would hit in sequence. First, a sunrise yoga story, followed by snorkeling with vibrant sea life, then my private chef preparing a gourmet dinner. Each post was tagged carefully, #living my best life, #self-worth, #independent, subtle digs at a family that had long ignored my achievements, my value, my existence. Talia's text buzzed, "Your mom just stormed the office looking for your travel documents. Shall I tell her you shredded them last week?" I replied with a single emoji, the smirk invisible in text but palpable in my chest. The thought of Vivian rifling through drawers for evidence of me being responsible, while I floated in my infinity pool brought a giddy thrill. The crescendo of planning came late at night. I sat cross-legged on the villa floor, surrounded by evidence I had gathered over the years, receipts, messages, photos, and personal items that had been discarded or ignored. Each object a symbol of neglect, each one now fueling my empowerment. I paused over the Hermes bracelet, thinking back to last Christmas. Vivian had casually handed it to me, saying, "Oh, this isn't really your style, but it's for appearances." I sold it. Every dollar funneled into funding the ultimate vacation. Every act of family disregard had been a stepping stone toward this moment. I scheduled another batch of posts for tomorrow, me in the infinity pool, sipping champagne, sunset cruise, private beach dinner. Each story would reach them sequentially, magnifying their panic, their frustration, their helplessness. And then the real fun began. The small, carefully placed sabotages in the office, the frozen accounts, the encrypted files, the subtle reminders of my absence. By the time Sienna realized what was happening, she would be scrambling, unraveling the very threads I had spent years weaving. As the night deepened, I felt a quiet, fierce satisfaction. I had planned every detail, anticipated every response. My family thought I was just gone. They didn't know I had become untouchable. And soon, they would understand what it meant to overlook, to underestimate, to dismiss someone who had finally taken control. Sleep didn't come easy. My mind raced with possibilities, alternate reactions, and the perfect sequence of chaos. But for the first time, I wasn't afraid. I wasn't anxious. I was ready. And the thrill of anticipation, like standing at the edge of a cliff before a leap, was intoxicating. Tomorrow, my revenge would begin. Not with violence, not with cruelty, but with the perfect, unassailable power of independence, control, and carefully orchestrated chaos. Morning broke over the turquoise water, the sun spilling gold across the infinity pool. I sat on the deck in a silk robe, coffee steaming in hand, the ocean stretching endlessly before me. Today was the day, the culmination of months, years even, of neglect, disregard, and erasure. Talia's message popped up, "Brace yourself. Chaos level, nuclear." I smiled. I began with the posts, Instagram stories, scheduled meticulously to hit the office just as the morning chaos unfolded. The first, a simple story, my feet propped above the water, captioned, "Good morning from paradise." Hashtag living my best life. Within minutes, notifications exploded. Sienna, where is she? Why didn't she tell us? Vivian, call home, Aria, immediately. Clara, are you seriously ignoring them? I ignored them. I had work to do, the most satisfying work I'd ever done. Next, the files. I had encrypted every single Harlow account document. A password known only to me, scheduled to be impossible to crack without extensive time and effort. Sienna had no idea where to start. Dad's office erupted in panic, frozen accounts, urgent calls, missed deadlines. I could almost hear the frantic footsteps through my phone. Then came the personal touch. I posted a video, me floating on my back in the infinity pool, champagne in hand, the sunset painting the sky in fiery orange and pink. Caption: Sometimes you have to choose yourself first. Paradise found. Talia called, practically vibrating. Aria. Your mom just stormed into the office screaming. She's thrown papers everywhere, demanding answers. Sienna's crying. Clara's trying to calm her down. This is beautiful. I laughed softly, a sound I hadn't realized I'd missed, the pure, unrestrained joy of being untouchable. Then Evan called. You've officially broken the Bennett household. They're falling apart. Mom, Dad, even Sienna. No one knows what to do. I grinned. Exactly. Exactly the point. I had carefully orchestrated more than just social media chaos. I had used the funds from regifted and ignored presents to book a private sunset cruise and a beach dinner, scheduling posts to coincide with the family's escalating panic. Each story, each photo, a gentle, pointed reminder of what they had ignored for years, me. By afternoon, my phone buzzed relentlessly, but I only glanced. Messages, frantic calls, even texts from the office manager, they couldn't reach me. My freedom was absolute. Then the masterstroke, a post showing the Hermes bracelet I had sold, sparkling in the sunlight, captioned, making memories, not regifting them. Sienna saw it. Panic turned to rage. Vivian saw it. Shock and fury. Dominic tried calling. Ignored. Each notification, each reaction, a small, perfectly timed domino toppling into chaos. I reclined in the sun, watching the ocean, letting the warm breeze wash over me. For the first time in years, I was in control. My family, the firm, the expectations, they were powerless against the independence I had finally claimed. Even Evan marveled. "You've done it, Aria. You've truly taken control." "I know," I replied, a smile tugging at my lips. "And it feels incredible." As the sun dipped toward the horizon, I posted one final story for the day, me raising a champagne glass against the flaming sky, diamond earrings glinting. Caption: "Here's to new beginnings and remembering your own worth." The likes, the comments, the frantic messages, they poured in, but I didn't check. I didn't need to. I was free. I was untouchable. And most importantly, I had finally proven to myself, and to everyone who had ever doubted me, that I mattered. That night, I sat on the deck, the waves lapping gently below, watching stars emerge over the ocean. Every slight, every forgotten birthday, every regifted present had led me here. And in this moment, I felt lighter than I had in years. Talia FaceTimed one last time for the evening. "Your mom just called the office again. She's asking the impossible, how did she do this? Where is she?" I smiled, swirling champagne in my glass. "I'm right here, Talia. And I'm exactly where I need to be." The final message came from Clara: "You've shown all of us the truth. We needed this wake-up call." I leaned back, letting the gentle rocking of the waves soothe me. Revenge had been sweet, but the true victory was freedom. I had taken myself seriously when no one else did. I had chosen me. And as the stars reflected in the endless ocean, I realized that this was only the beginning. Paradise was mine, not just for 2 weeks, but for every day I chose to claim it. The next morning, I woke with the sun, my phone silent, my mind clear. I had planned every detail, executed every post, and let my family scramble in my absence. But beyond the chaos, beyond the small victories, there was something more profound: self-respect, autonomy, and the sweet knowledge that I finally mattered, to myself. No apologies were needed. No validation required. I had transformed years of neglect into a meticulously executed declaration of independence. I had shown them, without a word, what it meant to overlook me, and now, to feel my absence. I poured a final cup of coffee, stepping onto the deck, the waves below catching the morning light. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel invisible. I didn't feel powerless. I felt alive, victorious, and entirely, gloriously free.